US ENT, and we are really enthusiastic about all of our partners, but especially this one. We are presenting today Carl ZEISS and the amazing optics and technology that that company provides for us. James Carter, who is on the call with us now, Cindy Metros, who I don't think was able to join us, and then Janine McDonald, who'll be doing the bulk of the presentation, have been working with US ENT for many years and are big believers in the concept of providing value for ENT practices and helping us all remain independent, remain focused on patient care, taking care of the business aspects and providing value. In my own practice, I always like to talk about where I personally use these technologies and why we handpick these suppliers for US ENT. So it's funny, my practice is about 50 years old here in North Dallas, and we have always had ZEISS microscopes. We have one currently in storage, and it's not because the optics don't work. It literally is a microscope dating back probably to the late 70s, James. But it's turquoise. And our interior designer, when she redid our office most recently about 7 or 8 years ago, said that color was not cool. So even though the optics still work 40 years later, we have different ZEISS microscopes. We have a floor standing microscope, one of which dates back to the 1990s. And then I'm purchasing a brand new one for my Earlens Hearing Center that we're opening as we speak. The model is called the Pico. They have an amazing video package associated with that, which Janine will go through. So not only is Carl ZEISS our partner in US ENT, but they're an important supplier in my own practice and in many of our practices around the country. And so with that, I want to turn over the presentation to Janine, to James, where they'll just take us through for a very few minutes the highlights of all that they offer through their US ENT partnership. So we have plenty of time to answer some questions. So with that, take it away, guys.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate it. I'm just going to say a few words, Janine, then turn it over to you. So again, as Dr. Matheny said, I've known him for several years, and we're really big believers in the business model that US ENT has. And of course, we're in other specialties in medicine as well. Ophthalmology, we deal with an organization that's very similar to US ENT, working with in-office based surgeries, and they've been very successful. And, we've been very impressed with Dr. Matheny and his management team, and, we're excited to be your partner, and we look forward to US ENT's growth and prosperity. And we hope that we can support you a bit along the way, and we've got some wonderful products, and Janine is going to take it from here. Thank you, Janine.
Thanks, James. So thanks for the introduction. Again, my name is Janine, and I'm the marketing manager for ENT in the US. So just so you know what's my kind of job is here in the ZEISS chain. Want to give you a little overview over what ZEISS in general is doing, then also just specifically what is the ZEISS Medical Technology Division doing, and what kind of products are we offering or do we have under contract with US ENT. And walk you a little bit through what those products can do, just like a general overview, and then deep dive a little bit into product I think is specifically catered for the procedures performed in your offices and practices. Also a little bit along with some other KPIs and information you might be interested in. So before I start, does everyone see my screen? Because I can't see it on the Teams. Okay, cool. So I want to start off, it's just a short video, but it kind of gives a good idea of what ZEISS is actually doing holistically, because it's not only a Pico or a Nextaro or surgical microscopes, it's a little bit more. And so that's why I want to kick it off with that little company video I've prepared here.
Close your eyes. What do you see? Do you see yourself? The path in front of you? The next step? Do you see your ambition? The cutting-edge approach that opens new dimensions in medicine? The biggest miniaturization that lays the foundation for the digital revolution. The holistic perspective that transforms humanity for good. The progressive vision that changes everything. The way you see the world, the way you capture moments, the way you transcend knowledge, the way you define precision and productivity, the way you live, move, love, heal, think, are. Open your eyes. Can you see it? Together, we are challenging the limits of imagination. ZEISS. Seeing beyond.
So this little video was created last year because we celebrated 175 years of ZEISS existence, and Dr. Metheny already kind of pointed out that yes, there are microscopes out there which are already pretty old and maybe not even in corporate color anymore. And so in the next slides, I will just go briefly over it. I just wanted to point out that we have a long history with ZEISS. The existence started 1846 with Carl ZEISS, the founder, and Ernst Abbe. And just some examples like what started back then and how the whole kind of medical division also started is with tuberculosis, that scientists and or leading scientists and doctors together basically found a way or treatment for this disease back then, which was very lethal. And so that was basically the first microscope you can see here. It's a tabletop, or not a tabletop, a laboratory microscope. And so from there, it kind of evolved the kind of cool whole kind of optical path of it. I will share the slide deck later to be shared with everyone here. So I'm just jumping through some, so don't feel bad if you miss something. But some fun facts around ZEISS also is what we achieved so far within or together with the scientists out there is that with ZEISS systems, 36 Nobel Prizes were handed out. So without ZEISS technology, it wouldn't have been possible to do those or have those findings and do those researches. 80% of the microchips worldwide are done with ZEISS optics together with ASML lithography systems, so 80% of all microchips in the world. 50 ZEISS camera lenses were sent into space during a NASA Apollo mission. We had won 3 technical Oscars with the ZEISS lenses and numerous other Oscar nominations. And which is maybe a little bit more of interest for that group, is 300,000 surgical procedures are performed every year with the ZEISS Kinevo 900, which is for the last 4 years our flagship in neurosurgery and high-end ENT head and neck surgery. Also, which kind of shows that we are always trying to advance our products and technology, and I can show later a little bit more what that means also in an office and ASC setting or for those kind of products, not only the high-end systems we have. We file for 500 patents per year. So applications, new applications, we put a large amount or larger amount than other companies back into our R&D department to really research and bring our technology forward and bring it to the next step and so forth to really support physicians, doctors out there with bringing their or making their work easier and bringing it to the next level. So 13% of our revenue is actually going back to R&D. And with this, we kind of ZEISS is set up in 4 segments, which you probably already seen in that short video. So one is we call it SMT, the semiconductor manufacturing technology. That's the business where the microchips basically are produced together with ZEISS lithography optics. One segment is the industrial quality and research, which is everything into measuring, like really high-end measuring, very fine structures in the automotive industry, but also research in terms of labs, which was also very necessary for the last 2.5 years because of the pandemic. So this is where microscopes, the ZEISS microscopes, come also into place, but those are laboratory microscopes. Then the business we are finding us in with the surgical microscopes, and a little bit more to that in a second. And then the consumer markets, maybe one or the other already came across with ZEISS lenses, so vision care as we call it, binoculars, hunting scopes, those kind of photography lenses. So everything optics related, ZEISS is basically offering. So, but now I want to focus a little bit more, and I will give that in a little bit, those are the different segments, a little bit more detail. Now I want to talk a little bit more about the ZEISS Medical Technology segment I was just showing. There again, we kind of split up into, and it's a big portion, our ZEISS Ophthalmology and Optometry business. And then we have a microsurgical division. And within the microsurgical division, we have a neuro department. We have an ENT department. We also cater to spine surgeons, plastic and reconstructive, dentists, and we also are active in the radio-oncology department. So we have a intraoperative radiotherapy device. This is the acronym what stands here. So to narrow it down again, what are we offering you in the field of ENT? And because ear, nose, and throat is spread over all segments, so now I know I'm just talking to the office practice group, but it kind of goes up to teaching universities over ASCs, hospitals, small, large, outpatient centers, and so forth. So therefore, we also have quite a couple of products to offer for the different needs in those settings. And so those products here you can see start with an office diagnostic system, the OPMI Pico, then a system for stapes, tube surgeries, transoral laser microsurgeries. It's an XR 300, and so I will have a little bit more focus on those two products in the next or in the upcoming slides. We have another product called OPMI Sincera. Then it goes up to Tevado 700, one of our also newer products or newest products, the Pentero 800, and the flagship, which was mentioned in the beginning, the Kinevo 900, with which 300,000 procedures are performed worldwide per year and rising. So how do we which kind of segments do they fit in? So the OPMI Pico was so far sold into, or mainly and only sold into practices and clinics, such as yours. The Extaro up to the Tevado, because the Tevado is also multidisciplinary microscope, which can be used for plastic and reconstructive and orthopedic spine surgeries, is for ASC outpatient centers. And basically the other range goes from hospital for surgical and teaching institution. So what I'm going to focus on right now, as I said, is the OPMI Pico and Extaro, because what your guys are specialized in is like bringing those surgeries, or part of those surgeries which are performed in an ASC, an outpatient center, into an office clinic. So this is why I really want to focus on the OPMI Pico and Extaro to talk a little bit more about that. Beside those surgical microscope and advanced and robotic visualization systems we offer, we also have medical loops, and those are also under contract. So if you really just need to check something, we have those loops here available. We have 3 different kinds. We have the IMAX Smarts, which have a fixed magnification of 2.5 times. But you can have different frames for it. And then we have the iMac Pro, which you can see here. It's longer, so the optics are bigger. So that means you achieve a higher magnification, but the field of view will be smaller. And we have, again, you can also have it on different carrier systems, so the glasses can be different. You can also have prescription glasses in there, and or if it gets too heavy on the nose or whatever, there are also supporter heads, and to all of those systems you can always attach a light. So just so you get an overview what you can have here. Going forward to the OPMI Pico. The OPMI Pico, as I said, is a product which is usually just sold into ENT, gynecology, but also dentistry in the different configuration. But those are just diagnostic scopes, which are basically pulled from the wall, just to check the eardrums or something, and then are basically put back in. So it's a pretty compact microscope. It's very solid. It's we have it for years now. It's a working horse, and so that's definitely a good option to go with if you want to perform. But it also is limited in from a visualization perspective, so magnification over the other, which I want to talk about now a little bit more in depth, and also the light source is maybe a little bit inferior. So our newest product, or newer because we launched it already in 2018, end of 2018, is the X-Star 300, and we have put in one of the new innovations and technologies I was mentioning before that we always try to bring into our newest products. We have basically 3 pillars we base it on: augmented visualization, and there will be also a short video in the next slide so that you get a better understanding. What does that mean? How can that be helpful for me? Single-handed operation and digital data management. So the augmented visualization portion of it entails multispectral mode and no glare mode. And how can that help is to distinguish, maybe if you're doing laryngeal cases, distinguish better between vasculature and tissue. It's basically a filter mode in the system you can activate, or the no glare mode, which helps basically eliminating reflections from other surgical instruments in the field, which is less stressful on the eyes. And the other pillar we have, so you can see how it looks like a little bit in an animation. The other advantage we have with the ZEISS X-Star 300 is that we have a multifunctional with what you can control, like literally everything. The light intensity, you can start the recording, you can activate all the filter modes, you can change the focal length. So the X-Star 300 comes with a varioscope 230, so that means the focal distance it can do goes from 200 millimeters to 430. So there's no need to change objective lenses anymore, depending on what kind of procedure you're doing. So you literally just, basically here you can see it, you just basically turn the little varioscope in the bottom very easily and change the magnification. So the setup time of the product for the next procedure is done in no time. And here you can see that mode control button and a little bit grayed out kind of filter modes you can activate. So green color mode is something which is probably also something you're familiar with. The multispectra is just a notch higher and more extreme because of the LED light source. It's a RGB light, so red, green, and blue, which kind of enhances even more that contrast. And the no glare mode, you can even change the spotlight size of the illumination on the microscope and capture pictures and start videos as well from that multispectral mode. And then I think that's maybe important for you because you also want to distinguish and kind of stand out compared to your competition in your region is a data management structure. So it makes it more efficient and easier for you to, with capturing that information, those pictures and videos, you can set it up so that it's integrated in your office setting and connected to your system. So you can transfer basically all the pictures and images you're taking for documentation purposes or whatever to your network. And from there, this is just a little picture how it kind of would look like. But here you have the system. Here you have an iPad where you can have the ZEISS Connect app. That's another medical product we offer, but it comes together with certain packages on the ZEISS X-Star. But basically, you can set up the patient there. You can take pictures as you want, and you can also have a structured way of doing your procedures because you're highly efficient in what you're doing. So that means there's always a structure to every procedure you're doing. And here, it's maybe a little bit too blurry, but here it says, as an example, opening, incision, removal, closing. So you define the chapters, so it's called Procedure Architect. You can define the chapters and take basically pictures and put them into those little chapters and categories. And so then easily after that, you can pull a PDF where it then says, gives an exam date, the exam time, the exam duration, all the pictures in it, how long it took, because I know that you're also working with those KPIs and benchmarks to see how can I become more efficient in the future, where can I maybe cut time, or where do I lose a lot of time because I need another instrument or something. So that's just a little bit more in depth what you could do, and this is then easily stored for legal purposes, or even just for patient communication. So you can go there with your iPad and tell your customer or your patient then, hey, this is what we did, everything went well, for the patients who are interested in seeing bloody pictures, but or unbloody pictures, but just wanted to give you a little bit better idea of how that could look like. And yeah, so the Xara 300 here to the left, an iPad, or if you set it up with your network, you can also stream it to any computer in your office. So that's it. I don't want to go even more in depth into that product. I just thought this is the best fit, depending based on the procedures performed. The system, the Pico and the Xara, I think that's also good to mention, is available in all kind of suspension or ways of suspension. So ceiling, wall, and floor are an option. So if you're lacking foot space in your office, you can also just install it in your ceiling or the wall, wherever it fits. So here we have a little virtual product demo room. So I'm happy to also walk you through in depth with this tool another time. But here you can see in the background maybe a little bit the ceiling option we have, the ceiling mount option. But all of them come with it. Another pamphlet, more or less, I have, which talks about OR efficiency, so less overtime. So, I mean, OR doesn't really fit in your case, but you know what I mean in your procedure efficiency, how you can add revenue, higher patient satisfaction, and higher surgeon satisfaction with some of our scopes. And so here specifically the Xara 300, I can also make this available to you so that you can peruse and just look through it yourself. And if there are any questions, I'm always happy to answer them. Yeah, it talks about how can I be more efficient pre-op with the setup time, intraoperatively, post-operatively, and also from a service perspective, you don't want to you want to waste too much time, downtime if there's at one point of time an issue, because if you don't have the surgical visualization system, it's you're also losing money because you can't perform your procedures. So we have a large service group, a knowledgeable one, and our net promoter score is at a little bit more than 80, which is the same as Apple as an example. So our customers are really or highly satisfied with our services and our products in general. So I think that's also important to mention here, because you don't want to have downtime on the microscope. So that was that portion, the services. And last but not least, before I open it for questions, is we also have, for you, we have that special discount put out for the OPMI Pico, the medical loops, and the Xara 300. But we also offer financing option through our partner DLL. So there basically you can do some leasing discussion. So take it from there. But I just want to let you know, you don't have to buy it on the spot directly from ZEISS. You can also work with DLL together through a financing plan. All right.
Thank you so much, Janine. That was a lot of material that you got through very quickly. So that was perfect. And I mean, again, it never ceases to amaze me, the quality of this technology. Obviously, it's something I use in all of my hospitals. I use in my office. For those of you that got on the call a little bit late, I'm about to purchase the OPMI Pico with the nice video package. So I want to talk a little bit about the extra bells and whistles for my Earlens Hearing Center. Jason, I know down in Orlando, you guys, and welcome, by the way. We're joined by Jason Kodar, who is the CEO of a group that's not yet USCNT member, but hopefully will be soon. And they're also putting in an Earlens Hearing Center. So I'm choosing this one, Jason, because of the video capability, the ear lens experience is really one where the patients are very invested in the technology, and so they like to see the lens in place. They like to see how I troubleshoot it, and so I'm able very easily to show my view on the HDTV right next to me that's mounted on the wall. So that's what's right for my clinic. Jeff Baird in Oregon, I know you have your ASC attached, and so probably the next level up, the Xtero, is what we all are using in our ASCs and hospitals, if not a bigger model. But all of these, James and Janine and the ZEISS team have graciously offered substantial discounts to US ENT members, no matter where your site of service is. So are there any questions from the audience? I know, Janine, I was going to ask about financing, but you beat me to the punch. So it's nice to know that those options are available through DLL. Maybe could you speak a little bit about the a la carte nature of ordering? So, there's the microscope, and there's the various options for the oculars and the handles and the video package, and whether you have it mounted in the ceiling or if it's floor standing. Can you talk a little bit about the flexibility when a customer orders one of these devices?
Absolutely. So all our products are what we finally accomplished now. For all products we offer is sale packages and not just like material parts, so that you really have to figure out, okay, what is this material number? How does it compare to the competition? You just can't. So therefore we sell packages like the automotive industry does as well. So if you want to have tires or you want to have that set of rims, you don't have to select four in total. You just have that package. And so the still surgical microscopes have a high configuration possibility still. It really depends on your needs and what you want. Do you want to have documentation? Do you want to have DICOM? Do you want to have the filter modes? Do you want to have, what kind of binoculars do you want? So that you actually also get what you want and need. Do you want to have it on the wall? Do you want to have it in the ceiling? Do you want to have it on the floor standing? So you can't choose colors, so that's over. But you definitely can choose from a variety of things. And if you want to have an extra monitor, so what kind of hand grip? So we have trained sales reps all over the United States, which will help you, or who will help you to walk you through, like, what is it what you need and what can we offer you. And so basically tailor then a quote based on what you want and what you need. But there's we sell in different packages, and if we have create your owns as well, but those usually are more expensive because the package always include already a discount in addition to the discount you already get. So going off a package is always more worth it, and makes it also easier from an ordering perspective, because it already basically shows what would be good. Like for Pico, we have an ENT Classic package where you still are flexible in adding things or not, and an ENT Professional to make it easier from a quoting and ordering perspective. But there's still a lot of flexibility, and again, we have a trained and very knowledgeable sales team, or myself. I can also help you to walk through what's best for you and for your practice.
Jenny, another question. So when you're doing the data management, that's also very important. So are there options on the Pico to import into your EHR, the images that you're seeing, or is that something that just comes with the Xtero and models higher than that?
So there are different video or documentation packages on the Pico. One is just for live streaming, one is also for recording, and the other one is like the entire documentation portion. And there are capabilities in setting it up to the network, but there's no iPad compatibility or the procedure architect, what I was showing, because that's literally just next generation. It's just a technology portion which is not available in the Pico to actually make that happen or upgrade later.
There is Wi-Fi capability, so I could import images of my ear lens or whatever into my chart. That's good. Okay, fantastic.
Well, the Xtero. So the Xtero has that Wi-Fi router more or less in the system itself. Yeah. A Pico wouldn't. So there it's a network cable basically you have to install.
Okay. Makes sense. Okay, well, we're at time, but if anyone has any specific questions, feel free to put them in the chat or unmute yourself and ask. We're all friends here, so it's very casual. All right, Janine, I guess you just did a perfect job explaining everything. So we really appreciate your time. And again, we really appreciate the partnership with Carl ZEISS, one of our first and early partners and most enthusiastic. So we look forward to a long and fruitful partnership. Thanks, everybody, for joining. Have a great Tuesday afternoon.
Thank you, Keith.
Talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.